War. War never changes.
Coffee. Coffee never changes. I went for it, bro. Good morning.
I wasn't expecting that. All right, cool.
Welcome to Brewing with Company. This is the talk show / podcast, or whatever the hell you want to call it, where a couple of average Joes drink a cup of Joe, talk about pop culture and video games. Today is nice because it's kind of like a mix of TV and video games. But before we get into that, in the spirit of talking about Fallout, the television show and the video game, because that's where this is going, in a world where there's no water, there's no coffee. So what I have here is a coffee pouch.
That's nice.
It's like a dipping pouch.
Nice.
The only stupid part is I don't dip. So, like, I do no tobacco. It is not a thing of mine.
No.
So when I put these in, it makes me question those who do. Super weird.
We do know a couple people.
It's called Grinds, and they make tea ones as well. It's pretty good, but I was like, this sounds good. And the only reason that I'm doing this is because the Bones Coffee Fallout flavor is in the mail, so I can't even drink it yet. So
oh, you didn't get yours yet? So I got
No.
my atomic apple from Amazon. It's actually pretty dang good.
Apple.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's
Well,
pretty
I
fun.
guess we're sponsoring Apple or Amazon this
I know, right? Yeah.
this video. Dude, I wanted to come in here with like a bunch of different perspectives and some really, really good and some really, really bad. But I don't have a whole lot of really, really bad to say about the Fallout show. I think there's like little nitpicky things that I'm trying to find just for conversation. Yeah. But I'm having to dig really far to find it.
Wait. First things first for viewers. Mild spoiler alert, we will not spoil the ending, and we're not going to spoil like major plot points. Okay.
Yeah, I think for those who haven't watched the show yet, but you've played the games, it is not a direct. I don't want to say it's not a direct adaptation, but it's not a. It doesn't take any of the stories. It's not Fallout 3. It's not New Vegas. It's not Fallout 4. It just takes the adaptations of basically those three games. There's a couple of, like, if you've played Fallout for a long time, there's a couple of little things from the first two Fallout in there, like some of the war criminal stuff in the background and some of the posters and stuff. But a majority of it is very Fallout 3, New Vegas, and 4 heavy. But the show has its own plot. It's a whole new vault in a whole new setting. It's set in California, and is it great? I don't want to just sit here and use the same adjective over and over again, but it is damn great. And
here's what I wanted. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you.
No, have at it.
Okay. We're sorry. We're back in the virtual studio, so we may have a little bit of a lag now. But anyway, I say, yeah, it's great. But here's what I say. This may be the first video game adaptation from either movie or TV show that captured the soul of that game, because this show is Fallout. It is just
very
the energy is just Fallout, and you gotta love every time something like, and this isn't a spoiler, but one of my absolute favorite quotes was from the ghoul, and he said thou shall always, if the Fallout has one, he said if the wasteland has one rule, it's that you will be sidetracked by BS every single time. And I was like, yep,
I love it, dude.
My entire play style.
I think he is one of the strongest points of the show. Because I mean, if you've played Fallout, you know who the ghouls are in the game, obviously, but like this particular ghoul has his own backstory, It talks about the past a little bit. Again, mild spoilers. I'm not trying to get too deep into people who haven't watched it, but he is probably the best part of the show for me,
Mhm.
because not only does he adapt the ghouls and he kind of does his own thing with that, and it's from the game, but he's this cowboy gunslinger that is just phenomenal, dude. He's got this Clint Eastwood mixed with a John Wayne thing going on
Mhm.
here in a
Oh,
Fallout universe, and it just works so well. And to be honest, I was nervous that Lucy, the main character,
yeah.
the female protagonist from Vault 33,
33. Yep.
um, I thought she was going to be annoying, but she really wasn't.
No.
There's really no other way to put it other than like I genuinely thought she was going to be like Ashley from Resident Evil 4 kind of annoying, like a tag along annoying.
Right.
And
Yeah.
no, she when she goes to the surface and starts doing things, that's when you're like, okay, this innocent character um really shapes into the land above, and then she's getting portrayed by everybody.
Oh yeah. No, I think she played the role of a traditional vault dweller, being exposed to the outside perfectly. Because that is kind of just, I mean, that if you really think about, the storyline of Fallout, these people, well, in a lot of vaults, a lot of the control vaults, people have been in these vaults for, hundreds of years, and they have a very childlike view of the world and whatnot, and that's just not how reality is, especially not in a wasteland. And she could not have uh come across a more hardened wastelander than the ghoul. So it's like it
Well,
was
not
pretty
to
cool.
mention Walton Goggins plays that
Oh,
so damn well.
if
What
he
an
doesn't get
amazing
but
actor.
if he doesn't get nominated, not nominated for what is it, Emmy, he doesn't
And
get
Emmy.
nominated for an Emmy for that one. That'd be okay. I will say though this, and I get why Amazon didn't do this, but it is something that I should say. The ghouls, they don't have that rough voice. You know how they all have
Yeah,
that rough voice in the game. I get why they didn't do it, but I did notice it, and I was like, oh, I mean, he sounds normal, so it's like, but yeah, like I said, it's little nitpicky things like that is things that I noticed to the game. But when I tell you, when they pulled out certain weapons or
the pistol
uh
got me, bro. I'm not even gonna
I
lie.
was like, I
I was
stood there and
on board.
clapped. I was like the laser pistol, the turret gun that popped out. I was like, yo, that is
Even
straight up from the game. I was loving it.
even the harpoon gun in
Yeah.
the other vault, I was like, man, you're really taking at every little thing, and I love it so much. My only major nitpick is not even it's a petty nitpick. I really
Hit
wanted
me.
Ron Perlman. I
Oh,
wanted I really wanted the war.
war
War
never
never
changes.
changes.
I know,
I don't
right?
know. I It was a choice. That's fine. Um to be to be fair, I mean I get it. It wants to be its own thing. And I think the Fallout TV series, what's making it so well is like you said, it has the spirit of Fallout better than any other show.
Mhm,
Like I know I don't like the Last of Us TV show, but where I will give its credit is its setting is pretty on point with the game and its setting,
mhm,
but there's not a whole lot of not a lot of whole there's not a whole lot of stuff to grab onto in that world. You know what I mean? Whereas Fallout, you got the Pit Boy, you have the Vault Dwellers, you have the ghouls, you have all these things that are set in that universe. Like, dude, every time Nuka Cola popped up in the background,
yeah,
I was like a giddy little kid playing Fallout 3 again. I was like, man, this is it. Because for me, Fallout, I'm not a Fallout fanatic. I'm not a freak about it.
sure.
But of the Bethesda games, of the BSG games, Fallout was it. I'm hot take.
Yeah,
I respect Skyrim, but it's just not my thing.
sure.
Um, I'm
I'm a
sorry if I'm
I'm a
making a lot of noise.
no, yeah, you're good. No,
Well, see, I'm an Elder Scrolls fan. I got into Bethesda because of Oblivion,
oh,
and then
okay,
my
cool.
my
I was
brother
about
got
to
me
say,
on a Morrowind like a son of a gun. I don't know what it is about Skyrim. again, okay, let me make this very clear.
They made it
Skyrim
really.
is not a bad game.
No,
Skyrim is not a bad game at all, and it has
it's
some of the best exploration uh, of any game. You know, like the freedom that you have to explore in that game is still phenomenal. But it's just not. I'd pick Oblivion over Skyrim in terms of its story and where it leads. Anyways,
I would
long
agree with.
to get off that tangent, Fallout was the Bethesda game for me.
Which one was your first one?
Fallout 3.
Nice, me too.
I
Yeah.
played it on Steam back in the day. My brother got me into it. He's not a huge Fallout guy either, but he was like, "Oh, you like the post-apocalyptic stuff? You'd like this." I like Fallout 3. I think what's so sad though is the best Fallout is not Bethesda. It's
Oh yeah.
Obsidian
Wait,
because New Vegas
New
is
Vegas isn't technically not the Bethesda main
yeah.
group.
Yeah, I think and that kind of brings me to my other point, which is the saddest part about getting this show so great and getting it hyped for everybody. I'm not even gonna lie. I was watching it and I was like, I want to go download Fallout 4 right now. Like, it got me wanting to play. Usually, video game adaptation shows don't make me super want to get back into the game. Most of the time, I'll either have played the game and I just enjoy the show, or like maybe I'll play it before I watch the show.
Mhm.
You know, I was playing Cyberpunk 77 when Edge Runners came out, so that was really cool. But it never made me be like, oh, I can't wait to turn this off and get back into the game. The
Right.
Fallout TV series, the entire time, I've been like, I want to download Fallout 4 and Fallout New Vegas. And the saddest part about this whole thing about Fallout gaining its popularity,
Mhm.
it's probably going to be 10 years before we get another Fallout game, a mainline
That's
game.
probably true. Because I
Yeah.
think they're focusing on Elder Scrolls 6 right now, which I mean we can talk
Finally in
about.
post production.
Wait, what? I didn't hear about that.
It's finally past its pre production stage. I shouldn't have said post production. I'm sorry. That was the wrong choice of words. But it's finally in its production phase
There you go. Okay, cool.
because they're done with Starfield.
Right. Yeah, no, I think they're gonna focus on that, and then yeah, it's gonna be a while before we get Fallout 5, which I hope because the news I believe yesterday came out, the Fallout series got a second season.
That's not a surprise to me at all. I think after the
Not at
third
all.
episode, I was
Very
like, this is cash grabbing like a son of a gun.
very deservedly so. So I'm pretty happy with that. Hey, maybe Bethesda will be like, hey, we struck gold with the west coast of the Fallout universe. Let's give it back to, well, maybe not Obsidian, because Obsidian doesn't exist anymore, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe we can hire some of that team again. We can probably let them make another game. That would be
Well,
amazing.
and I don't know if that's even possible though, because every time, if you ever look up interviews with Todd Howard and they
Mhm,
bring up New Vegas, he doesn't. I don't want to say he gets like pissed,
mhm.
but he gets a little weird.
He does.
Everybody from the Bethesda studio gets really weird when New Vegas is brought up, which I think I mean I get it because New Vegas is widely
It's
chosen as
beloved.
the better Fallout game.
It is.
It just is.
Sorry.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Well, dude, I still love Fallout 3.
Yeah,
And Fallout 3 and New Vegas share a lot of skin. You know what I
they
mean?
do.
It
They came out
Obsidian
almost at the same time, right?
roughly. Yeah, Obsidian did a great job of taking that IP and giving us something in between 3 and 4.
Mhm.
Um which is something that game studios kind of used to do a little better, or like the half games and stuff like that. This is not something I see Bethesda doing with how long it took
No.
them to make Starfield and what it ended up being. I'm kind of like, well, they're probably going to take their sweet time on Fallout 5. They're not going to disperse resources to give us a different Fallout game. But
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, I do. I will say that with after what happened with excuse me, Starfield, and I was probably one of the people looking forward to Starfield the absolute most. I was literally moving up to it. That's all I was thinking about was playing Starfield. And when I finally got it and I started playing it, and I was like, wow, this really wasn't what I was expecting. But
it's
uh,
underwhelming.
it's very underwhelming, which I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. It makes me very nervous for Elder Scrolls 6 and very nervous for Fallout 5. Unless there's some big culture changes. It, here's my opinion. Maybe Todd Howard needs to leave the studio. That's just me. I'm sorry. Like, I'm
That's
sorry.
a
Like,
bold statement.
listen.
You're not the only one that said that, though.
I'm just saying because the ever since he's pretty much been like the go-to guy for Bethesda, um, what have we really gotten since Skyrim
Oh,
in the show?
100%.
Because don't be wrong, I love Fallout 4, and when it's not a spoiler, but when Lucy opened up that that flag and the boom boom
The main Fallout
boom
4
came up,
theme.
I was like, I downloaded instantly. I was like, I'm gonna replay Fallout 4 because I just yes. But let's be honest, Fallout 4 storyline not the greatest. Uh,
It's it worked,
it
but
worked, but
yeah, when you wait a long time for a game, you're like,
yeah, you're like
damn.
you're like, really, I kind of wanted something more than what you gave me. It was fun enough to play, um and really the gameplay for Fallout 4 brings me coming back. It's not the story. I really don't
It's
care.
mechanically sound.
Yeah.
Um,
But like, I'm sorry, Todd. Just you rest on your laurels. You made Skyrim, and you made Skyrim into what it was, and that was fun. That was very fun. But maybe you need to hand the reins over to somebody else. That's me.
maybe, and it kind of feels like he's doing that
It's
essentially. I think he just loves to keep his name on that property. And I mean,
us.
wouldn't you? You know what I mean? He
Mm.
made Oblivion, he made Morrowind. I know I did those out of order. He made Skyrim, he made Fallout 3, and he made Fallout 4. And then Starfield was kind of a bust. I think what makes it so nerve-wracking is like your excitement for Starfield was the fact that Todd Howard and Bethesda had earned that trust
It
over
did.
time. They had definitely earned that trust. We talk about this kind of stuff a lot on Brewing with Company
Mm.
because it's like when you earn my trust as a consumer, I don't have to do a whole lot of research to understand that I will probably buy your product, and whether I enjoy it or not is up in the air, but it's a gamble I'm willing to take with my money because you've given me that trust. I was telling you that I just recently played Ori and the Blind Forest. I'm
Yeah.
playing Ori and the Will of the Wisp right now on my Steam Deck.
Mm-hmm.
They have earned my trust that I bought the early access for No Rest for the Wicked,
Mm.
even though I'm not really big into early access. But I was like, you know what? If these guys need Kickstarter and these guys need money to further pursue, I'm willing to put my money where things deserve to go. Like
Right.
as a consumer, which is the whole point of this talk show in the first place, is like I also got Tales of Kanzara Zhao, which is
Yeah.
a Bubakar Salim's studio game, because one, why he's doing it, he's a hardcore gamer. He's not just a voice actor, he's a hardcore gamer.
Mm.
And I loved him as Bayek in Assassin's Creed, and he has earned this, like, okay, he's a gamer, he's a great actor, he's done good things in video games, and he made this video game studio out of his own money and his own build for the decease of his father. And I'm like, all right, that kind of stuff deserves opportunity. And so that's how I feel about Fallout right now. And I hope Todd Howard watches the show, because I don't know if you've seen any recent interviews or like
No, I haven't.
snippets of him when he talks about the show. He's like surprised how great he is. Like he's surprised how great the show is turning out, not in like a negative way, but you could see it on his face where he's like, "Oh yeah, the writers really knew what they were doing," and he's like, "Thank God."
Yeah.
Like you can see it in his face, like in the back of his mind, he's like, "They're doing better than my damn game did."
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
but I would agree. I have a bold idea. There's
what's
no way I'm the only person that's thought of this. I haven't heard it yet, but there's no way I'm the only one that's thought of this. Um, how about good old Larian Studios gets the IP,
for
and we get a
Fallout?
we go back to the
Oh,
olden days of Fallout, and we get a top-down ARPG, or I'm sorry, CRPG of like the old school Fallouts, and let
I
Larian
would
take the
play.
story.
I would play the ever living heck out of that for. I already have a couple thousand hours, like maybe about 2,000 hours worth of between Fallout 3 and Fallout 4. Um, Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, and Fallout 4. Um, but easily put 2,000 hours, 2,000 hours into if Larian Studios were to do a Baldur's Gate 3 on a Fallout IP. Are you kidding me?
And it doesn't even have to be like that
I'd be
identical
amazed.
feel. They can put a new combat system in there. It
Sure,
doesn't,
sure, sure, sure.
I mean, it might still be turn-based, but they can, again, we're talking about trust.
Yeah,
I haven't even played all of Baldur's Gate 3. I
yeah.
played 6 hours of it and went, damn, I hate being an adult. I'm going to sell this back. This is the greatest game made in a long time. I find it very ironic that, like, I will go around and going up to bat for Baldur's Gate 3, and people are like, oh, you've played it. And I'm like, I've played what is essentially 1/1000th of the game, and I will support it to the bitter end because it's
Yeah,
that well structured.
yeah.
And I think whenever we go on deployment is when I'm finally gonna do it and
Get,
pull the trigger and put the
get,
60 to 80 hours, maybe 100 hours into it, and really
uh,
get down into it.
you'll
Because I
put more.
remember, dude, I had to make that conscious decision when I was at like hour 6. It was like 6 1/4 is what
Yeah.
I did. And I pulled up my timestamp and I was like, this is only 6 hours. I was like, oh my God. I was like, 6 hours. I was like, if this is what I touched in 6 hours, I'm going to need about 80 plus
Oh yeah.
just to scratch the surface of this thing.
Oh
And I
yeah.
was like, and I was so sad when I hit the refund button because I'm not in a position to just own the game and let it sit for 2 years. I
Right.
was like,
Yeah.
let me go find something that I can use this money on. I was like, you will get my money eventually, Larian, but it's
Yeah.
just not today.
I know.
And if we can entrust those kind of studios to take the Fallout IP, just give us a gap. That's really all I want is
Mhm.
like this little halfway point of, because dude, if the estimate is 10 years until we get a Fallout
Someone
5,
else. Give it to
just
someone else.
allow somebody to do something in their own time frame.
Yeah.
I don't even care if we do like a Fallout vault experience and it's like a horror style game and you play the whole game in a vault with one of these cults
That'd be
and it's
terrifying.
like, yeah, it could work. I'm just throwing ideas out there, but it's like Fallout really, after the show, deserves,
Something else.
yeah, it deserves a thought. because
Yeah.
when because you were saying that the player count went up for
Oh yeah.
Fallout.
Went up ridiculous. I should. We should probably have looked up the stats before we
I
started
believe in
talking.
the UK. I believe in the UK it went up 700,000%.
I believe
Now,
it.
I'm not a math wizard, and I don't really know how percentages work like that, right? If it's over 100%, it doesn't exist in my brain. But
But
700,000% is a ridiculous
if
number of
I'm
players.
if I'm a you know uh video game producer, or whoever, marketing team, I would look at those numbers and I'd be like, this fan base is hungry for more content, and we
100%.
and if we let this sit for 10 years, I mean, it's kind of like it's kind of, and don't get me wrong, like, yes, the Attack on Titan, for example, was still wildly popular, but that break from season 1 to season 2, it was, I believe, 4 years almost. Like season 2, even though season 2 is fantastic and has some of the greatest twists in all of anime, right? it still didn't it still didn't like capture people until after season 3 ended, and everyone was like, oh, the war is starting. So that's when a lot of people started getting back into Attack on Titan. But like, you you can't just let that excitement sit there. Like, right
It's
now, people are hungry for excuse me, hungry for good quality. I should say that, good quality Fallout content. And if they, in my opinion, they would be a fool if they don't act on it in the next 3 years.
oh yeah. Well, the issue is like it'd be one thing if you had a 5-year development cycle
Hmm.
and we had an announcement for Fallout 5
Yeah.
already, right? Similar to Elder Scrolls. That's one thing. But 10 years is
Hmm.
like an entirely new generation of
A
gamers
whole
that
new generation.
they may not even know what Fallout is.
Exactly.
I find it very strange when like for instance, when Twisted Metal came out, the show, which I
Mhm.
also think is quite good, by the way. I don't know if you've
I
seen it.
haven't watched it yet, but I did play
It's
Twisted
really
Metal.
good.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
it's
heard it
super.
was good.
But that was another example of kids around me that were like, "Oh, this is
What's
based off a
Twisted
video
Metal?
game." Oh,
Like,
and it's like, damn it! And you're like, you're
yeah.
missing out on one of the best couch co-op experiences of my childhood, right there. Getting pissed off. So it's
Yeah.
like, damn! Like you really don't know what Twisted Metal is? Oh well, shit. That's because it was like 15 years ago
Mhm.
that the last Twisted Metal on the PlayStation 3 came out. I believe it's been
Yeah.
probably even longer than that.
I think it's been like
Honestly, it's like
18.
2008 probably. Yeah, it's probably
Yeah.
been a grip
Yeah.
of time. So when you let that time pass, these IPs get forgotten,
Mhm.
and that is a bummer. I also think it's going to be a problem for the Elder Scrolls game. A
Yeah.
majority of people that are going to play Elder Scrolls 6 are dudes in their 30s and 40s who grew up with Morrowind
Yep.
and into
Yep, they did.
Skyrim when we were
Yeah.
in high school and shit. So it's going to be hard.
You were in high school when Skyrim came out?
When
Dang,
did
I'm
Skyrim
old.
come out? 2011?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Man,
I
I'm
was in high
old.
school. Right? It's weird to think about that kind of stuff,
Yeah,
but
no,
like,
that is crazy.
but now that we talked about Fallout and all these things, one thing that I've noticed is, we have Fallout, we have Twisted Metal, we have Edge Runners for Cyberpunk
You're gonna
2077, we have Arcane. Do you think now that the stigma of video game adaptation shows or movies is kind of like, I don't want to say it's fully out the window because we still have whatever the hell Zack Snyder's
yeah, Rebel
Silver
Moon.
Moon, Rebel Moon, whatever the hell that was.
Like,
But it's like,
listen, I did not have a good time watching Rebel Moon. I
I
know
don't
I
think
know that
anybody
like
did.
I was I mean well I mean I know some people that I watched it with they enjoyed it, but like I don't know, I was sitting there like, well, I mean, as long as you're happy, I guess that's fine. But like me, I was like, come on. And
So
then when it just the second one just dropped apparently, and I was like, I
yeah,
didn't even know they were making a
it dropped like
second one. I
it
was
dropped
like,
like 2 days ago,
oh my
and
goodness.
I was so confused. I was like, really?
Yeah.
And then I remembered, I was like, wasn't the first one like 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Like,
No,
I don't know.
it was more recent than that.
Yeah, it might
I
have
think it
been
was
like
like
a year
last
and a half ago.
year. Yeah.
Whatever, dude. But like, that's my point. Is like, we have all these successful shows because Twisted Metal was a success.
Yeah. Mhm.
Arcane seems to be a. I've never seen it. I'm not a League of Legends guy, but apparently it's a big success. And
Oh,
then, of
you've
course,
never watched I know even if you've never watched it, I highly recommend it. It was it
Arcane.
was one- yeah, it's on Netflix. It was one of my favorite shows of last year.
Were you a big League of Legends guy?
I've never played League of Legends in my life.
And it's still a really good show.
It was
See,
great.
and but that's what I'm saying is like, and even people that play League of Legends have said
Yeah,
that like, no, this is a great adaptation of
yeah.
this kind of storyline and stuff. And then of course we have the Edge Runners show for
Yep.
Cyberpunk. It
And
was
then
so
don't forget
awesome.
Dungeons and Dragons too. The
Yeah,
movie.
we have a lot of successes that are really working. So I'm wondering if like, because
This is
we
a
grew
new.
up in a time, yeah, we grew up in a time, dude. Even something as simple as the Mario movie
Yeah.
was so
Success.
good.
Big success. Yeah.
It was good. I
Yeah.
enjoyed
It
every
was
bit of it because it was
great. And
exactly what it
Sonic too.
needed to be. Yep, Sonic is a big success. Look, we're getting a plethora of video game adaptations into movies and TV that are being successful now. So I'm wondering if it's finally time we have this shift of, because
From comics to video games.
yeah, dude. Okay, man, it's like we did this show for a reason or something because we read each other's minds and it's so cute. No, it it's exactly what I'm saying. Marvel is on its downfall.
Yeah.
I would even say it's at the bottom right now. Marvel
It
is,
is.
and
It
I'm a
is hot.
huge Marvel fanatic, and there's nothing that you can throw at me in terms of trailers or hype that is going to make me turn back to the MCU right now. Nothing.
Nope.
It is hit rock bottom for me. It's trash. It's
Honestly,
garbage.
honestly, I mean, I'm gonna go see Deadpool 3, but
Yeah, that's an
but
exception to the rule.
yeah, but honestly, and this is just me personally, I'm not as big of an X-Men fan as people of my generation. I know, but
I have heard that X-Men 97 is good.
yeah,
I
it
need
is
to go watch it.
it's not bad. I've already watched like the first 2 episodes. It's not bad. Apparently, there's a crazy episode coming up that I'm hearing all about. But like just me personally, I was more of a Fantastic Four
Yeah,
fan base than X Men. That's just me personally. I understand how cool Logan is and all that other stuff and everything, but just yeah. And I love Spider-Man. So
Spider-Man will always be in my heart. I don't think there's ever going to be a time where Spider-Man is is not doing well for me. Even at its worst, I give it my money because I love that character too much.
yeah,
He's the typical underdog story that we all love, and
love
we,
him.
and those of us who were a little geeky growing up in school, that was a little bit of us, right? Peter
Yeah.
Parker is always a little bit of us, so it's like Stan Lee knew what he was doing, and being like, "Hey, you like comic books? So does this kid's into photography, and he doesn't do well, and he can't talk to girls and do all these things. He's the epitome of a teenage boy who gets to live the life of a superhero in the background, and he's probably the only superhero that's like an actual hero too,
Yeah.
because his rent's due.
Yeah.
He gets evicted like 3 times.
Yeah,
People die
he doesn't
around
try
him.
to
Yeah,
use his powers for monetary gain. Yeah.
yeah.
But
It's
sorry,
great. Yeah, I
we're
know.
getting enough
We're
off.
gonna we're gonna have to have a Spider-Man episode is what we're gonna need
Oh
to
yeah,
do.
I'm
Just
cool with that.
we I think it's cool to see that we're in a time where video game adaptations can be really good.
Yeah.
But what I will say is,
Back in the day.
I think a majority of the successful video game adaptations now
Mhm.
are IPs where you can play around a little bit. The Last of Us being kind of an exception to that. So what I mean by that is, like, the reason Fallout's doing so well is you have continuity on the left here. I'm just
Mhm.
painting a picture. You have continuity on the left here, but you also have some freedom of creativity on the right here. There's not a strict guideline to the story of Fallout that needs to be presented in order to be greatly successful. So this team, which is Jonathan Nolan, by the way, is part of this team.
The
You
brother
might of Christopher Nolan, and I was
oh,
like, oh, that's why it's good. It's got Nolan blood in it, but
hey,
but you have these two frames that have room to work with each other, and this is why you said, like, the Fallout has the soul, and I
mhm,
agree with that 100% because it doesn't feel like product placement when I'm watching Fallout. It feels like
mhm,
everything belongs in the world, and if I recognize it, I do. If I don't recognize it, it's just part of the world. It
mhm.
doesn't feel like Nuka Cola, buy your cola today. No, there's just a Nuka Cola in the background. He's drinking one at a table, and you're like, oh, that's Nuka Cola.
That's the
So,
Google.
yeah, and it fits in the world. But the storyline, there's nothing about the storyline that I can nitpick because it has that freedom to be creative,
To be its own.
what to be its own. What I don't like is, like, Amazon has already greenlit the God of War show. I don't feel
No.
comfortable with that storyline getting a show adaptation, because when it
Yeah,
comes to stuff
because
like that, it needs to be one to one. And
yeah,
then, of
for
course,
something that good has to be one, either that or it's got to be, you know, the like how Kratos came to Midgard
yeah,
and met Freya.
Freya,
Was that his? No. His wife's name.
not Freya.
I can't believe I'm blanking on it because I love that game.
Ooh,
But and met his wife and met the giants and all that stuff. Like that would be cool. But if you're gonna take if you're gonna take God of War 2018 or God of War Ragnarok and try to make that into a TV show, I know what they're gonna do to it. They're gonna rings of power it, and
yep.
that's
Well, and
well.
see, that's my nitpick. I pick on the Last of Us TV series a lot when
Mhm,
it was actually, other than a couple of things that I can go on a rant about, but I won't. Um, but that's what it does, though. When you have a strict story that needs to be followed, and
mhm.
you get somebody like me who loves it so much, like, it's just so attached to the joyful side of my brain, I don't like little changes. I don't
Yeah,
like the little, even if it's like, oh, dude, that's such a minor change. And I'm like, no, because something that's already perfect in my eyes, or the closest thing to perfect in my eyes, I don't want to see it change. And God of War is one of those things. So I'm
yeah,
like, but that's why I think Fallout works so well, is it has room for creativity, imagination, and its own story, as well as still being, constructed in the source material and doing it well. And that's why I think Twisted Metal did really well too. There's no concrete plot to Twisted
no.
Metal. There is one, but
It
it's
doesn't
not like
need to be. It
yeah,
doesn't need
and
to be
which the show did a really good job of sticking to its continuity,
that. Mhm.
but Twisted Metal's continuity, like, can fit on one page of lore, you know what I mean? So it's like, that's
You
why
know
the
what
show
would
did
be
well.
great? you know what actually would be great, would be fantastic. I just thought of it right now. Why not make an Elder Scrolls show? I'd watch that.
Here's my thing with that though.
What's that?
You had an Elder Scrolls show for 8 years. It was called Game of Thrones. I know that's a very childish way of putting it, and before anybody who's a major fan is like, those are two completely different, and I am
Yeah,
aware, but to give you the same argument back, how many times did it piss you off when people were like, you love Lord of the Rings, right? Oh, if
yeah.
you love Lord of the Rings, you're gonna love Game of Thrones.
But,
I hated that argument.
not
I
not
hated
even
that argument,
close.
right?
I'm sorry.
Exactly. And that's the way I feel about
It's
Skyrim.
middle.
That's Skyrim in a nutshell to like Elder Scrolls. That genre has had enough in cinema that I don't think it will stick outside of the Elder Scrolls fan base.
Yeah, okay, I guess
So
you're
if
right.
they want to put that production value towards just that fan base to go, here, Elder Scrolls fans, here you go, then I think it would work. But don't expect millions upon millions upon millions of people to suck themselves into this show. Maybe they will. I don't know. But that genre has been played out. The fantasy,
Kinda like zombies have been
blacksmithing.
played out really.
Absolutely. I,
Yeah,
I would agree. I don't think we need any more zombie shows, movies, and or games. Like as much as I want The Last of Us Part 3, I kind of want it to end there. I don't think any
yeah,
new zombie IP is going to come out and make me be like, wow, zombies again. So
yeah,
there is overplayed, and we're starting to see like a transition back to like space sci-fi,
yeah.
where I think
I
like
like that.
stories, another game that has a strict story, but I think could do well, the Mass Effect games could be a
Oh, I
great
thought you were about
television
to say
show.
Dead Space.
I don't think Dead Space could be a good show. Well, maybe it could. I don't know.
Be a horror.
We It
Absolute horror.
could.
It'd be a horror movie. Yeah, no, it's making a show would be making it too like convoluted. You could definitely make it into a movie, or at least a trilogy of movie. No, a movie,
What I
one
mean,
movie.
like there is such a thing as like you need to stick to the continuity and in your source material,
Right?
because the
Yeah.
Halo TV series is a perfect example of like, I feel like you guys played the game once and were like, I got it, and then
Yeah.
it didn't mean anything to you. And this is why they got to stop when it comes to like characters and shows and movies that have like helmets on and stuff, and it's
Mhm.
like a important piece of their character. Stop putting big name actors in the suit.
Yeah, because they're gonna want to show their face.
You're gonna have the Will Smith effect of Deadshot, where we just got Will Smith for the whole freaking movie, and it's like, I came to see Deadshot. I don't really care who's voicing it as long as it's authentic.
Yeah.
And a lot of these video game actors should start auditioning for these video game adaptation shows for some of
Yeah.
these voices. But
I mean, there would be that. I will say though, like when you talk about Fallout, because I was thinking as you were talking, I was like, well, yeah, you're absolutely right because like Fallout is a special IP because um you can really you can really do whatever as soon as you get out the vault, you can literally do whatever the hell you want to do in the game, which is kind of why the show is working because it's its own story, and it's not like you were talking about with God of War. Because I'm thinking, because now I'm a little upset because if you try to make either a new story, I'm assuming it's gonna have Kratos in it because it's God of War. If you're gonna have a new story, it has to have Kratos in it, and we already have seen Kratos go through two fantastic games in the last couple of years of a specific time of his life for like 5 years of his life or so like that. So it's gonna have to be before that, or during that, or after that, and it's gonna be I don't know. I don't really like that idea, but
and that's
like with
picking at
Fallout,
straws.
and with Fallout though, they had a perfect opportunity to make whatever because the the great thing about Fallout is the timeline is really large. It's 200 and some years, 280 something years or whatever like that, whatever. And it's and the games are locally or only span locally. So yeah, you can have an entire show happening on the West Coast while the games are focusing on the East Coast or something like that,
And they
whatever
can
that
fit in the same universe, and it's
it
not
can
going to
fit in the
bother
same
anybody.
universe at the same time. Exactly.
This
So
is why I think the Borderlands movie will do okay, because
yeah,
Borderlands is another one of those properties where it's like you have a main the main focus is the RPG elements of the game, and it can kind of branch wherever it is. So again, these are successful because I think there's that 2 and 2, right? Where
Yeah,
it's
that's
the
good. I didn't think about that. That's really
yeah,
good.
it's the continuity is one piece, and then the story is a separate piece, and they fit well together because they can in that universe. You take a game like The Last of Us, God of War, Dead Space, or anything else that has like a major story component to it that you want to hang on to, like the
The
Requiem
story is
games.
the game. The story is the game in those games.
Mm-hmm. The
Yeah.
narrative focus, it's probably not going to do as well. You're probably going to divide your fan base. You're probably going to have little changes here and there that aren't going to do well. And but I think that's what majority of these successful ones are, and it's working out well, and I'm excited for it. But we'll see where this goes in the future. I mean, they
I
could very well Hollywood it, and Fallout Season 4 could piss us off because we're like, you should have ended this 2 seasons ago.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But as of right now, I will say I will give this Fallout has reignited my love for the IP and reignited my, even though I can't believe I'm saying this because Amazon Prime did Rings of Power, but um I have reignited they've reignited my trust in um live action adaptations for video games, for certain video games. We'll see about the God of War because you dropped that on me and I'm like,
Exactly.
what? But this is just another win that I think that is good for storytelling because the story is great for which actually we didn't even talk about that. I don't really think the story itself for this game for this TV show is great. The writing is very good. It's very believable. All of the characters, their mannerisms and their ideals and values and whatnot, it makes sense for how they grew up, for Maximus, for Lucy, for even dog meat. The fact that they have dog meat, we didn't. How did we go 40 minutes and not talk about dog meat? Oh
They
my god,
got it,
I
bro.
love it.
They nailed it, dude. And
Oh
I
man,
think so. Since we're coming over on time here,
yeah. You're right.
finish off. What's your out of 10 score for Fallout?
I would give it a. I don't like giving tens, and nines, and to me feel pretty much like a 10, um, because, and I'll say this right now, I judge, I critique harshly, very very harshly. So like for example, I would say Breaking Bad and Avatar: The Last Airbender are like really my only two tens ever, and I love lots and lots of different TV shows. So I will give Fallout, the Amazon Prime live action series, I would give that a solid 8. It's great.
I'm exactly with you. I'm a harsh critique. I like to, and just for fun, I don't let it like eat me alive or anything. But
Yeah.
I'm a harsh critique. I'm exactly with you. Giving those high ratings is an earned statement for me.
Mhm.
With that being said, I give this shit a 10 out of 10, bro.
Nice. Hey, no, hey,
I really
I don't
do.
blame you. I
I
don't
really
blame
do. I give it a 10 out of 10 because if I keep my focus on exactly what it is, where it's coming from, and how it is, dude, it's solid for me.
you.
And I think in my brain, at least, the out of 10 scale, 10 out of 10 does not mean perfect. It just means it's a 10 out of 10 in my book. I think that's the best way I can put it,
That's
right?
a pretty good.
Because
That's a pretty good.
nothing's perfect. There's always
You're
going to
right.
be a nitpick of everything. But when I give something a 10 out of 10, it's because the nitpicks, I have to search for them. And even then I go, I don't even know why I said that.
It don't
Who
matter that
cares?
much.
Who
Yeah.
gives a crap?
Well,
Right. So
the only reason I'm giving it an 8 is because it's not finished yet. There's going to be at least another
exactly.
season. Another
Uh,
season. If the next season is great, it's going to go up to a 9. If
let me
every
rephrase that
season
then.
is great,
Season 1,
there
10
you
out
go.
of 10.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, cool,
If
man.
all the seasons great, then yeah.
Well, I
So,
appreciate you talking with me as always, man. We took a week off, so it's
oh
nice to
yeah,
be back. I know this is another long one, but I like talking. It's kind of fun to do. God gave me one mouth, I want to use it. So
absolutely.
if that is you,
This is me,
well then this is me,
and I'm
and
gonna
then
let you be great.
well I'm gonna
So,
let you be great, and we are brewing with
brewing with
company.
company.
Stay caffeinated.